Afghan capital has been hit by yet another Taliban attack in the run-up to the next week's presidential election. Militants fired at the main election committee headquarters from a neighboring house but were gunned down by security forces. Our correspondent Lucy Kafanov reports from Kabul.
Well, the attack took place just down the road from here. That's where the heavily fortified Afghan Election Commission compound is located. At about 1 p.m. local time, suicide bombers targeted nearby buildings. Afghan security forces had rushed to the scene as Taliban insurgents reportedly unleashed rockets and gunfire from a nearby building. Now, we are exactly 1 week away from Afghanistan's presidential election, a vote that the Taliban has been determined to derail with violence. And so far, the insurgents have proven capable of making good on their threats. On Friday, the Taliban had attacked a guest house here in Kabul. They were actually targeting an unprotected Christian daycare center full of Western families. Instead, they had burst into a compound run by a U.S. contractor, an NGO, and a suicide bomber had blown himself up outside of the building, killing a young girl. We were actually on the scene. An election office was targeted this Tuesday, and last week, gunmen had slaughtered at least 9 people, including a prominent Afghan journalist at a luxury hotel. Now, this is really part of a campaign of stepped-up violence by the Taliban. The group has been able to pull off high-profile attacks across the country, raising fears that the Taliban insurgency will dramatically escalate at the end of 2014, when NATO combat forces are due to leave the country. And of course, it's the Afghan people who have suffered the brunt of this violence. Last year, the UN reported a 14% increase in casualties, with mostly women and children affected. And really, these kinds of attacks, very often, even though they're intended to derail the elections and to hurt Westerners, it's often the Afghans who really end up suffering here. But of course, as we count down to election day, a lot of tension, especially here in Kabul, where until recently the Taliban had appeared to have trouble mounting successful attacks, something that's clearly very much changed as the last few days have shown. Reporting in Kabul for RT, I'm Lucy Kafanov.